Hello, everybody. Today's Wednesday. It is 9 a.m. Eastern, and it's time for another Splinterlands Town Hall. I'm one of the founders of Splinterlands. This is the voice of Aggroed. I'm the CEO, and I'm joined today by Nate, by Chatter. We got WeirdBeard here. We got a couple other folks that we're going to introduce you to. General format stays the same. The first part of the AMA is kind of like a team just discussion, and we talk through the things that we're doing. The second part of this will go and answer questions from the audience that have been compiled already. And then the third part of this will actually start answering live questions from the audience at whatever pace you guys have. I guess some of the devs I think are going to start slowing down the number of times that they come on air. So we might need to go save some of the question types for when they're actually available. We're really trying to crank out as much code as we can and to try to get as much movement as we can on sort of the big projects that we have. We're looking to get modern and wild going. I don't have exact timelines for that, but I do hope that that's going to be in Q1, that'll be done. We also have the land V1 that we want to get out here. Again, I don't have time, but we're pushing to get the team sort of even more organized. And then we're also working on modern wild land and then the validator nodes. And there's tentative plans that end of this month, early next month, they might be ready. But just whenever you hear dates, I just want you guys to keep in mind that this stuff is it's R&D. We're not making widgets, we're not manufacturing cans of soda where you can kind of estimate the next how much you can't estimate production all that easily. It's more like R&D where you gotta go through it. You gotta just do the work and then we'll find out what we get. So any dates you hear from me, they're flexible and it's just our best guess as to when these things will go. All right. So on the stream today, we have Nate. Nate, do you want to kind of introduce yourself and tell us who you are and what you do in case there's some people that don't know?
Sure. My name is Nate. I am a rapper. No, I guess not. I'm not good at rhyming. But I am the creative director. I oversee the UX, the UI, the art, the animation, all the visual front end stuff. So that's what I do.
Is there a reason why rapper is in your brain? Is it possibly connected to Waka Flocka?
Possibly. So I'm sure we're going to have a lot of cool stuff to talk about today regarding that specifically.
Rock on. We also got with us Chatter. Chatter, who are you? What are you doing? Just give us a quick intro, please.
Awesome. Yeah, Chatter or Liam here. I'm the director of marketing over at Splinterlands. So really just trying to make cool stuff happen from the marketing side and trying to increase our brand across the globe here.
And then last up on the docket for today, just for your sort of steady presence, we got WeirdBeard. WeirdBeard, who are you? What do you do? And why are you here with us today?
Hola, ¿cómo estás? I am WeirdBeard. I'm here because I do esports and tournaments. So if you ever, get absolutely destroyed in a tournament, I'm the one that can come and you can commiserate with.
Rock on. So I think the big picture that I want to start with is Splinterlands 6 months ago, we start going through this major growth spurt. And the next 3 to 4 months of that is hiring people and just trying to put out fires. And then from there, as far as I know, we've actually broken 100 people that are either full-time or contractors that are with the org. So we've grown from 15 people to over 100 in less than 6 months. So I think it was last week. I don't keep track of my time all that well, but we went down and we were hanging out in Orlando. We get the whole team together, and really the goal is to try to figure out how do we organize this to go get better productivity. And the big picture thing in my brain is that we basically reorged not the entire organization, but just the way that we sort of handle the teams and handle like making the software and how how you make the donuts. So the big picture is that we have kind of your department heads. So we have Alicia or Chicklet. She's our vice president of product design. And actually, I'm sort of functioning as one of the department heads too, because I'm trying to lead up some of our business development efforts. So a lot of this starts with some business development conversations. Then it goes on the sort of like another person that we need to advise on projects is our product designer or the vice president of product design, and that's Chicklet. We have Nate and K-Bucks, and those two sort of help with the creative. Nate for the creative, and K-Bucks for the development. One of the areas I'd like to get online is data, and we have Liam as sort of a department head to help us with the marketing aspects. So I guess what I think we've done really well over the last couple months is get what I'm calling the departments set up. Product design, business development, creative, marketing, development, and soon I'm going to try to get data and analytics online as well. And then now that I have my departments in place, what we can do is try to focus on the like product teams. And the product teams, we kind of think of them like previously we've been calling them feature development. And now we're calling them product teams, and that product team might have, a whole bunch of people on it. The Homestead is one of the product owners. Matt Rosen, the co-founder, is acting like a product owner and taking on these like seriously challenging problems of how do we design software, how do we get a working prototype out there, how do we make sure that the economics work, how do we make sure that the visual aesthetic of what you see is cool and awesome, how do we make sure that it engages the community. And there's whole teams of people that work on these things. It's not just like, Matt in a dark room or Cryptomancer in a dark room. We have to go get whole teams of people interacting with each other to go figure out some of these problems. And, recently we kind of saw this come into effect with like Waka Flocka, and getting Waka Flocka as like a product team. I kind of threw it at the team, and Matt kind of had to jump on it. And we sort of talked through, it's not just add a card. It's like, you got to go get your background art, your line art, you have to color it. We have to get a dev to actually put it into the game. Matt has to go figure out what the stats are going to be. And because this thing is getting issued separately, we're going to have to go deal with the fact that we need like a voucher store. So there's like a whole front end, and how do we handle sales? And now we don't have like a procedure for pricing. So we have to go put that in. And so it's not just like one or two people that does this. You have to go have like an entire team put together. And so Waka like came together, even though like that conversation been going for a while, the sort of like putting it onto the website was only like a 2 to 3 week experience to try to like get this thing moving. And I think it's showing like by shifting to this product owner style, you get a lot more of the work done. It's like many hands make light work. And so we're starting to see what I think is faster development. It's like a week old, maybe two. So it's not, there's not enough data points to fully track this. But, one of the reasons that we did it was to go speed it up. And my first like estimate of looking at this is that it's actually quite helpful. So I would say that we have kind of like two major feature development teams, one led up by Cryptomancer and one led up by Matt. And we're spinning up a third. So, 6 months ago, we basically had no feature development because everybody's on DevOps. And now I have 3 full separate teams that are working on it. And then we also have kind of like some behind the scenes teams of like small project management, or like sometimes it's bug fixes. Sometimes it would be things like Waka or other pieces that we need to go like get rapid deployment out, not some like major 6-month project, but here's just the thing that we got to do in a couple weeks. So those are some of the things that I think that we can be. I think this is just some of the progress. I just want to give you guys a progress report of like, we have more or less like completely redesigned how our, not the people have all stayed the same and we just keep growing. fact, I'm still looking to hire like another 50 to 100 people. And we keep growing as an org, but as you grow, you're gonna have to like shift the positions around. You have to shift just how we kind of do this whole, how you make the donuts kind of thing. So 6 months ago we had no teams. Now we have 3 teams, and we have some teams that are dedicated to small projects and keeping things running. And we just have a lot more resources around, and we're still looking for some senior level product owners that can help walk whole teams through this maze and this process. So that's some of like my sense of how this is going. I mean, Nate, you were kind of tossed into this too with some of the Waka stuff. Like, do you see the product owners kind of helping speed things along? Is it still too new to tell? Like, what's your general estimate of how that went with Waka? And maybe you want to talk some about what we're doing with Waka.
No, for sure. I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense. So I think originally we were so limited on time and resources. The entire process for how we introduce these promotions and these partnerships and collaborations was just kind of crammed through. Now there's a lot more thought behind it. Waka was something that was already in discussion and talks, and by the time and in the midst of trying to create this structure, we kind of threw this existing already thing that's happening into the mix. And so I don't necessarily want to say that Waka is the first output from this system that we're trying to build. So, but it does speak to the purpose, the need for it. So, Aggroed, you brought up a good point that, with Waka, it was like, okay, usually in marketing or sales, it's like, hey, let's make this partnership happen. Let's go. And then throw it to somebody, and hopefully it gets done and it shows up in the game. But there's a lot, like you said, there's a lot involved. So, you got to make sure that the terms are right, make sure that, the game balancing is right, make sure the mechanics are considered, make sure that, like you said, the artwork, the animations, the back end dev work that has to happen, all the other stuff. And how does it fit into all the cool stuff that we have coming up? So, whether it's wild and modern, or a number of other things that we have to consider. We can't just look at where we are at as a company and game right today, right now, but how does that have a ripple effect going forward in the future with all the things that we have coming up? So I think that this new system of product ownership and sprint teams and weekly deliverables and making sure that the at the end result is the players get more, get faster, get better. Everything, the production quality elevates, the rate of production and what we're able to produce in parallel is all positively infected, and the net result is the player wins. So I think it's definitely.
No, we lost you a little. Are you still there?
Nate, we lost you.
I think you muted.
We're going to wait on bated breath for Nate. Liam, do you want to go kind of talk through kind of what, you sat through these meetings in Orlando.
So yeah,
Can
can you hear me?
Now you're back. Hello. Oh, but I don't see you lighting up on Discord. All right. Liam, do you want to talk through, you were there with us in the Orlando meeting, and now we have sort of this product design approach and product teams. How do you see it impacting the org? How do you see it impacting speed of delivery or quality of delivery? Does this look like it's working? Is it too early to tell? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's already shown to be much quicker. Waka, again, as people have been saying, isn't the only project that this whole kind of product owner, product marketer system has been going on for. We've been doing it for a couple other projects internally right now. And we've seen the speed of deliverables, I would say, almost double at this point between teams. A lot of it before was kind of how do we get from the first team and then hand it off to the next team. And it was really kind of a staggered conveyor belt. And now it's really this whole processing line in which every team is hands-on at every point of the journey, which allows marketing to get PR spun up much faster to allow us to really be hands-on at every stage of the journey, which is great. So we'll be able to help answer community questions. We'll be able to help communicate a lot better. From dev, we've been seeing all the work go a lot faster. We're able to kind of pass back community feedback a lot faster. Everything's just being tremendously quicker in this whole production line, and there's been a lot less questions and miscommunication going on. So I've been super happy with the entire process so far.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly. So when I walked into the meeting, I was like, all right, well, how are we going to make stuff? And I didn't have like a set. This is the way we're going to do it. I just tried to listen to what the guys were saying. Matt really wanted somebody to be in charge of product owners, and the different teams really needed ways to kind of like be interfacing. And I kept hearing a lot of like, you told me too late, or you told me too early, or I like just getting the timing of when communication and when handoffs were. It was just, to me, it wasn't working very well. And I kept feeling like, we left a couple devs just like alone in the dark. And so far, I'm really, really thrilled with like how this is going and how people have been responding to it internally, and how we're trying to like staff up teams around it too. So, just having a lot of people isn't enough. I mean, that's one of like one of the best sales guys that I ever worked with. Would just kept saying like, no matter what you do, it's not enough. You like have a good conversation, it's not enough. You like get them interested in the product, it's not enough. You have to come back and visit with them, and maybe they say they're interested, and then you come back and like they say yes, but you don't even know if they're going to follow through. So then you have to follow through, but it's still not enough. All right, you land the sale, great, but now you have to go like support the sale and make sure that there's not a refund request. So it's really not until like 3 months or 6 months after the sale that it's finally enough. And it's like there's just, in that process, it was like no part of that was ever enough. No part of that was ever fast enough, was ever working enough, was like, I don't know. It just, we needed to get more people communicating faster and iterating faster. And I just felt like we needed to go do that. And so far, so good. And so hopefully not only do we have more people, but those people aren't like sitting on the sidelines waiting for work, but everybody's got, objectives and goals in mind. And a lot of this company, I'm personally mission driven, and I hope that a lot of the other folks are here too, so that like, there's a sense of urgency of, there's a lot of bad things that are happening in this world. Play to earn and crypto has some really powerful effects that they can have. And hopefully if we're aligned in our mission, even if one thing doesn't go perfectly well, we're still on task for the mission. And even if, you're waiting for something, there ought to be something that we can all do to help. So, I'm hopeful for this. It's I can't believe I can't get my dates right, because I've been like, was in Orlando, now I'm down in Texas. So I have a little bit of like travel fog, but it hasn't been very long. But I think it's going in the right direction. WeirdBeard, on a separate note, we like the tournaments have been stalled for like a couple weeks. But what kind of like status update would you give for that? How, like, tournaments are a pretty big part of our community and of our prizes. Like, where are we sitting there?
Well, to bring back tournaments as they existed, that's with like tweaks that we've made and kind of optimizations. They're ready to roll. We're ready to get them out the door today. When I think this fits within the overall theme of what we're talking about here, which is not only delegation, but like specificity and like people's jobs, right? So before, tournaments was kind of the side project to the million other things that we were doing. Now, with the focus on this, we are ready to get tournaments as they existed back out the door, start up once more with, tweaked CP requirements, SPS requirements, kind of what we're looking at, some new tournaments that are being added into there that are a little bit more like beginner friendly, just to get people in the door and they, experience tournaments. They go, wow, I love this. But we're also looking at this roadmap of over the next 3 to 4 months of being able to make some of these big changes, introduce some of these things that the community has just been, advocating for over and over and over and over again. like we're looking how to be able to put that in there, and that's because we now have people that are specifically able to put an eye on that and understand the best like what's going to work for the community here.
So, how would you describe like the main feedback from players and what they wanted, what they didn't want? Like, can you summarize some of like your biggest findings? Like, just maybe talk about the survey you did and some of the results for that.
Yeah, definitely. So, the survey was really interesting. We've talked about it a little bit. 600 responses, which is, people who are very dedicated to giving us feedback. The main things that we're trying to address is pain points, right? Like, a lot of the feedback that we're getting about tournaments are that people don't even know that they kind of exist. At least from our perspective, they'll find out about them through third-party content creators, through just kind of stumbling into them. Maybe they go through brawls and they go, "Oh, there's like one-off tournaments that I'm able to go into." So like visibility, promotion of the tournament itself is going to be very important for us moving forward. But the other things that we also kind of looked at were what was the thing that made people the most apprehensive about being able to join more tournaments, right? Like, what's the thing that is the pebble in everybody's shoe that's just making it that they go, I'm good. I don't want to, be able to get into these tournaments. Of those pain points, entry requirements was a high one that people thought that, it was either too high, too low. We have to, readjust to pre-Chaos Legion kind of levels there. But the other one that people talked about a lot was a disparity in competition of feeling like either people from higher ranks were coming down and sort of beating up on them, or it was people who didn't understand that their cards just weren't at the level that they should be for the level that they wanted to compete. They'd be able to go and enter into a diamond tournament and then get absolutely demolished. And they were like, well, I could enter. And it's like, well, just because you can enter doesn't mean that you're going to be able to be super competitive here. So really what we want to be able to do is fine tune tournaments to not only be uh more upfront about like, hey, here's who we think is going to be competitive in this tournament and if we think that you should be entering into this, but also making it so that it's as effortless and seamless as possible to get into these tournaments. Like making sure that people know when they're running, making sure people are understanding of them. And again, starting players early in the tournament system and showing them like, hey, you do not need a ton of cards. We're going to have super low level ones to get you in the door so that you experience it and really like as everything that I do with the tournaments and esports side, we want to encourage people to play more. So they start off with these small level ones and then hopefully go, man, I love this. I want to go to silver. And then people playing in silver go, man, I love this. I want to go to gold. Like it's all about moving up that ladder of competition and really injecting more players into the ecosystem at the top, right? Like we want to move everybody up so that everybody is doing better and enjoying tournaments and competitions more.
Rock on. Are there other things you want to report on, or like other
So like
pieces that are forming here?
Yeah, like we have this roadmap that's coming through that I'm really excited about. I never want to like count my chickens before they hatch. You know what I mean? So the people that I've spoken to, which is quite a few, like streamers, I've talked to some high level players, I've talked to some low level players. I've made sure to tell a lot of those people exactly what is possibly on the horizon, what can be done, what can't be done. So if you're still looking to be able to find out the exact details, my calendar link is always live in the tournaments channel here in the Discord. Go connect, put time on my calendar. We can talk, like one-on-one. The one thing I will say is the first step that we're taking is working on introducing a streamer mode. One of the things that getting under the hood and figuring out more about Splinterlands is streamers had a consistent complaint that matches would be ruined before they were reviewed on stream. So you would already know if somebody won or lost, and you had to like hide the screen and be able to come back to it. And it wasn't like game breaking, right? It just made it so that it wasn't as easy of a viewing experience for a streamer as possible. So that's one of the first steps that we're going to be working on is, making it so that there's a streamer mode that hides match results. It doesn't change the actual tournament competition, but we need to look at tournaments and esports and all of this from like not only a how does it feel to play in it, but how does it view, how does it like as a viewer, if I'm watching somebody stream this, I want to make this as great as possible because the streamers out there on Twitch, out there on YouTube are the people that like there are evangelists, right? Like Splinterlands can only tell people how great Splinterlands is before people go, well, yeah, it's their game. They're going to say it's great. We need to empower these streamers that are doing, the great thing of going out there and being like, I love this game. I love playing it. And if we can do things to make that tournament side easier for them to tell other people how great this game is, that's what I'm going to go to bat for and make sure that we're supporting them in that. There's other stuff too, but until we have that locked in, I never will promise anything until I know for sure that we're able to bring it to the table.
Do you want to talk a little bit about what the streaming plan is? I think it's okay to mention some of this.
Yeah, so one of the things that we're really looking at being able to do, and like Chatter and I have had a lot of interesting conversations over the past like week and a half with different groups and different people. Like I'll use the ephemeral like, hey, there's some big names that are out there and are very interested in Splinterlands. And so we're looking at ways to not only get some large names that are going to be able to interact with Splinterlands, but some unique ways in playing. As of right now, I couldn't go to like, and we wouldn't get Ninja. But if I were to go and get a Ninja, right, it's much harder to get him to just jump straight into Splinterlands and be able to compete and be able to get into a tournament and like understand the entire game, right? Like there's a whole level of, hey, you got to get in. Hey, you got to get your cards. Hey, you got to learn these splinters. You got to learn all this different stuff. So, we're looking at specific game types and game modes that are going to be easily accessible to some of these big name streamers and large people that we want to bring into the ecosystem so that they can jump right in. They can play Splinterlands and they go, holy crap, I need to do this every day. Where do I buy packs? And so then they go and buy packs and then they restart and they go through the traditional, way of competing in the tournaments. So like, I will say we're looking at doing like a one-off kind of very limited number of like a ghost card tournament, to where everybody plays with a similar deck. And it makes it so that it's just even playing field for people to get in and understand what the game is before they dive into the deep end, because it's just so not overwhelming, but like for somebody that has never interacted with like Magic or Hearthstone and they're not already like, oh, I get it. That's a spread hit and it does this and this and this. We need a way to be able to put in all this fresh blood into the system and things like that where it doesn't impact the traditional tournament system is going to be great for a way to just be like the starter that gets people excited to come in and play more.
Rock on. All right, I want to go to Liam now. Liam, do you want to give kind of just like a generic update on like what our marketing efforts are and any kind of like projects that we've announced or update on what you're looking at, things that you monitor, things that like what are indicators for success for you? What are you doing and what are you looking at for results?
Yeah, so in terms of results, it's kind of two-pronged right now. I think our main KPI is how do we get new players and new spellbooks coming into the game. We've had some decline as we've done a lot of like the bot busting stuff where we've made it kind of harder for bots to necessarily interact in the game. But we're looking to uptick that. So a lot of the first front was ads. Those are starting to catch some fire right now, which is great to see. A lot of the work that Rick's doing in trying to get a lot of those, like whether it be streamers or tournaments or more kind of mainstream, I guess, brand recognition on Twitch and everything is going to be great. Ron himself, he's going out with the stream team right now. We're getting contracts all finalized for that, hopefully either this week or early next week. So stream team should be kicking off pretty soon. That's going to be like, sorry, I'm getting over a cold right now, but that should be a like around the clock streaming service for us to really help, one, empower our community to stream, but two, give us kind of 24-hour brand recognition as we build up that stream team, which is going to be awesome. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, Waka Flocka dropped yesterday, the official release of that. That's super awesome. And I think the thing that people don't necessarily realize with Waka is this isn't necessarily just like a one-off promotion, not so much with Waka, but in terms of what we're doing here. And so when we have these conversations, it's how do we productize? How do we let this be a stepping stone for us to do these kind of promotions in the future? And so, I mean, who it's going to be next or how we do something like this next is still kind of TBD, but it opens the floodgates for us, right? Because now we can take these conversations and say, hey, look, we have sold out with Waka in X amount of minutes or hours or however long it takes. And now we can go to other big names and say, this is what we did. We want to do it with you too. Let's create something awesome here, right? So all of that is really kind of going back to that KPI of how do we, one, bridge mainstream and kind of blockchain or crypto, but it's all in the effort of how do we get new players coming into the game and how do we get those signups. And the flip side of that is how do we also make sure that people are happy in the game, that are converting, that are actually staying long-term in the game. So retention's a huge thing that we're trying to work on behind the scenes as well. But that's the really the big in and out of it, top level, is how do we get people in and how do we make sure that they're enjoying the game and staying. As far as kind of other marketing stuff goes, we have kind of exchange talks going on. We've announced the ZipMex news. That's going to be hopefully kicking off pretty soon. We've got a market maker in place and we're looking to really start scaling that. Otherwise, new merch is going to be hopefully coming pretty soon. We're talking to a lot of guilds and trying to get them into the game, but it's just all steam forward and all hands on deck right now on the marketing side of things.
Yeah, it's awesome. Thanks for sharing all that. I guess let's start with Waffles and we'll get Waffles on. We're still, I think, in the world of marketing and DYGYCON. So Waffles, why don't you kind of give us a heads up and talk us through the next one? And you're muted. There you go.
You guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you whispering. Waffles, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
You want to talk about DYGYCON, or do you just randomly
I'm so
whisper?
sorry, guys. I lost my voice. Okay, so I'm a DYGYCON event coordinator. Bear with me. I'll post everything I'm saying in chat so you guys don't have to hear me whisper much longer. But anyways, I host DYGYCON. It's a bi-monthly virtual convention where you can connect with the crypto community with lots of booths. You can talk to Aggie and there's going to be a chance to win a lot of cool swag.
I love this. I'm pretty eager to hear. I'm gonna keep you on for the next 30 minutes. All right, tell us what's the main part of DYGYCON that we should all be stoked for.
I saw that, Dexter. What does he say in that? Fromage? Fromage something, right? Alright, so I posted my message in the town hall chat. I'll post it again on the DYGYCON channel. I hope you guys can make it to the next DYGYCON happening on March 18 to 20. So I hope to see you guys there.
Right.
Am I the only one who wants her to turn her lights off and hold up a flashlight while she's talking?
It's a campfire. Waffles, you're great. Thank you for that. Yeah, so DYGYCON is coming. Plan for it in March. It's a great way that you guys can go hang out, interface with each other, network, learn about cool products in the space. A big fan. It's helped us get some of the partners and people into the door, and I don't know, it's been fun. Hilarious.
I see it. Omelette de fromage.
Yes.
Thanks, Arcus.
De fromage. Excellent. All right, guys. All right. Why don't we meet a couple new people? Let's start with Cal. Cal, what do you want to be referenced as, or how do you want me to call you?
Cal's fine. My name's Dan, but Cal's fine. Cal's my in-game name, Kaljerico.
So, Cal, what do you do here, or what are you about to do, or what are your goals or your objectives? What's your background?
I'm part of the creative team. I'm a narrative designer, so I work with Nate and the other guys in that. Been there since from about November. I've been playing the game since September. Absolutely love it. I've been writing for probably about 12 years, but this is the first sort of opportunity I've had to do some narrative design work around gaming, which is just great fun. So yeah, that's kind of what I've been doing since November, doing characters, doing stories. I recently did the work on the Waka card, and there's also a story going to be upcoming for that as well, which is hopefully going to be good. People are going to like that, hopefully. And currently working on a story which is going to introduce the wild and modern format. So hopefully that will be a winner as well.
So what is narrative design? I mean, are you just writing like prose and it's as simple as that, or like tell me about the nuance of the work and like what it means to do this?
So basically, we do the history and background of the characters. We write a lot of lore about the characters and the land. Not all of it is on the card, not all of it is seen, but it's the building blocks to make the character real and make the character sort of stand out. So that's a big part of narrative design. Another part is we do little, you've probably seen them on the cards, the little story snippets, which is effectively a bit of flash fiction, a very brief story about the character or an incident that the character's involved in. And that kind of moves on as well to doing short stories, which is the Tomb of Chaos and the Lore, which is a little bit longer stories about different characters. So yeah, it's all great fun. It's all fiction, and it's all working around character design and creating characters and the backgrounds.
So we do a lot of this. I mean, I think Nate has 5 or 6 narrative designers on the team. Like, why do you think we have so many? Like, what is the goal of like not just what is it, but what is the goal of narrative design? Why do we pay so much attention to it? And then what's your kind of like flavor that you add to what we're doing?
I think narrative design, and I think writing and the lore just adds, because otherwise what you've got essentially is just a game that people can play, which is great fun, but the lore just gives it extra depth, and just is not everybody likes to read about the lore, I understand that, but it just adds extra depth to the game, makes it more interesting for a lot of people, I think. And also when you start writing and doing bits of lore and you design characters, it can open up new avenues for new paths that you can take the rest of the stories along, which obviously brings in new characters and new areas, and it's just never ending really. And so I think that's one part of it. Myself, what I like to put in, I'm a big fan of sort of grimdark authors in fiction, and I like to add that sort of maybe a little bit of hope. Nate knows I like the hope stories, but there's got to be a bit of darkness as well, otherwise you can't have the hope.
No, definitely. Dan is a big believer in hope. So when we were in our narrative meetings discussing all the darkness and despair that Chaos Legion was going to bring, then I think Dan's a big part of making sure that there's a sense of hope, and I think that translates into the upcoming story for Waka. He looks like a pretty dark guy looking at the artwork and stuff, but Dan has infused his background and his story and what that's about with a very strong sense of hope. So I really I can't wait for people to read it, Dan. I think you did a great job.
I think that goes really well with gamers. So one of the board members turned me on to like a TED talk that was like gamers spend about 10,000 hours playing games by the time that they leave high school. You actually spend about 10,000 hours in like classrooms. So you have like an entire second realm of education that's happening. And she was like, what are they learning? What are they doing? What's actually happening? And some of the things that she was looking at was like, this is a face that they make. They're about to get an epic win, and it's like this absolutely ludicrous face of like pure intensity, epic focus, and it's like a fairly common face amongst gamers. But one of the other pieces was something about gamers leaves them very hopeful. So I like this mix because I really personally like the sort of like dark and gringy, because I feel like there's a lot of dark and gringy to our world, just the way that nations interact, that people are currently treating each other. Like there's no decorum, there's no common goals. It's like just various levels of force that are being applied to various groups, and it's frustrating. And so I feel like that gamer aspect of bringing in some hope is actually like a nice piece of the narrative that we can add. So thanks for doing that.
Thanks.
Yeah, I would say one more thing about Dan is that he, in addition to tackling, it's funny because out of the narrative team, usually we have these narrative meetings every week, and it'll be like, okay, here's all the things we gotta tackle. These are the things we gotta do. Dan is usually the first to volunteer for a lot of some of the hardest, most challenging, most stuff. So whether it's Walker, whether it's the stories coming out that will be published in parallel with the release of like modern and wild format, stuff like that. Like how do we describe that in a lore sense so that everything makes sense? Because there's a lot of opportunity there for as we get closer to land and as players feel less detached from the game and more like they're in the world, then these are things that we want to address. And Dan's made great strides in creating a very rich background and lots of layers to why is modern and wild happening in a lore sense, and how is that going to affect once the player is in the world, when land comes out and they're immersed in this new fantasy world. There's a lot of I think that speaks a lot to all these stories and all this lore that we're producing, that hey, it's not really necessary for the game right now. Well, that may not always hold true. Someday we hope to have story mode or campaign mode and all this other stuff, and it's quite possible that being an expert at Splinterlands lore will make a difference in not just your player experience, but your progression, how easily you're able to do what you want to do in this other world full of races and cultures and history and whatnot. So politics, whatever. So Dan's a big part of that. Dan's a critical part of making all that happen to give the user a better, a more immersive experience. So thank you so much, Dan.
Thanks.
Awesome. And then we have another member that is sort of new to the force here. This is Tamer. Tamer, do you want to say hi?
Yo, hi.
And how do you want to be referenced today?
Yeah, I can introduce myself.
Yeah, please do.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Tamer, and now I'm a Defographic. And I am from Sweden. My role in Splinterlands is graphic designer, and I mostly take care of game designs and most social designs. And also things that I have to do in my role as a graphic designer. I have worked as a graphic... Yeah.
Do you want to say what a graphic designer is? I mean, I imagine some people know, but what's your definition of it?
Like it's more like you're creating design to like a professional look for branding things, and yeah, like design is too big, and yeah.
So what? So you're working on? You said two parts: the graphic design for the game and graphic design for what was the other part?
Yeah, social designs. You got the game designs and more social designs.
When you're designing, what do you try to keep in mind? Do you have like a philosophy or a point of view, or is it just
being creative and unique is a big key in my role to become a better graphic designer. Like it's more to begin creative and unique to create a design to look more professional and more fresh.
And how do you think that how do you think that the players will experience that? Like, what will they see that makes it feel like it's professional, or how will they experience your designs? Like what?
Yeah, I mean, in design you got many rules to like follow. If you say so, you can like typography to make it like more saying to the person who look at the design, if you get me.
So how did you originally find out about Splinterlands? What brought you to the company?
From Behance. It's like a site where you contact designers. You can find many designers there, and that's where I found Nate.
So have you done we do a lot with gaming and a lot with crypto. Have you worked with games and have you worked with crypto before?
Not really crypto, but games, yeah. Many like esport teams and like more, yeah.
So when you're let's see, like what were you doing for the esports teams? Was it like designing logos and sort of like putting out?
Yeah, it's more like banners and like more advertisement designs, and you got the thumbnails and more stuff.
So what brought you to what made Splinterlands cool for you? Like why, Nate's got an eye for talent, and I'm not sure that I've seen your particular pieces of work, but I'm willing to just assume that you're like really talented. What made you want to work with this game and this company and this team and this kind of like specific genre of stuff that we're doing?
Yeah, the most exciting thing about beginning Splinterlands is that you always get to do and try new things. And especially you feel that everyone spends their one time to develop Splinterlands into something better. And I like Splinterlands team like that. I feel that I could like improve the design and produce something high quality to
So just to give you an idea of what Tamer is able to contribute to the creative side and to Splinterlands as a game in general. For instance, when there's a new airdrop, we have these little graphics, these little banners that pop up on the shop page, and they need to look cool. They need to catch the eye. You don't want something humdrum and mundane there at the top of the screen. So it's like Tamer helps with like creating the little airdrop banner that you would see that announces, hey, this cool new thing is here. Push this and go see what you got and that kind of thing. He also does something people have been clamoring for a long time is Nate, where's the character art with transparent background? Where's that? Because we've been waiting for that. And Tamer actually is pretty much almost done with that. I got to get him the last couple airdrops. But as soon as he cranks out the exports for those final airdrop cards, he goes through, takes the character art, adjusts the hue and the contrast and the brightness and makes it look as good as it can, and then exports it out at a web optimized file size. And because of his efforts, you guys are probably in the next 48 hours, hopefully, will have access to a library of all the Chaos Legion character art without the backgrounds on them. And then I think right now, Tamer, you're working on the gold foiled press. So if you guys have not subscribed to our email campaign, you can do that from the homepage of the website. Just scroll down the bottom, go ahead and enter your email. But hopefully the email campaigns will have some cool graphics, eye-catching, and it'll look amazing. And Tamer is instrumental in trying to help move that project along and make sure that the publishers for those email campaigns have all the assets and graphics that they need to kind of catch your attention and support what they're doing there. So those are just tiny little examples of kind of what Tamer's been doing for the game. There's a lot more on the project management board. He's kind of all over the place. So
yeah,
awesome. Well, Tamer, thanks for joining the team. Thanks for bringing your talents here, and thanks for helping to bring this game alive.
Thank you. I wish everyone a good day or night.
Nate, you just kind of gave like a semi like progress update. Can you kind of talk us through some of like what are the priorities of creative? What are you guys trying to get out? What are the big projects that are like what's urgent in your world, and what's next up on deck?
Sure. Well, I mean, I think as people are aware already, the countdown has begun. So on the shop page, you'll notice there's a big ticking clock counting down to who is going to be able to obtain one of these Waka Spirit Blade cards, which are definitely going to be in high demand. Everyone's looking at that and saying, wow, this looks cool. We want one. So hopefully everyone is hoarding their vouchers and their SPS and getting ready for this. But in lockstep with having that countdown page began having been launched on the website, the creative is making strides to make sure that we are creating the final shot page. Once that countdown hits 0, boom, the devs have the majority of almost all the assets they need in order to kind of hit the ground running and make sure that the players have what they need. But there's little tweaks, little polishes we're trying to make, and I'm pretty impressed by. In fact, let me see here. One of the things that's cool is, and sometimes I'll share animations on these town halls. And this animation I'm particularly pleased with. The animators went well out of the way. His name is Senny. Senny is great at these 2.5D spine animations, and so he was tasked with, look, can you make something next level? Not for future Battles 2.0, but for right now. I want something cool to put on the shop page. So this is what he produced, and I'll share that with you. But I mean, it really kind of elevates all the little things that we can have these animations do. And you could see his fingers moving, his eyes kind of get bigger or smaller, his little chain kind of flows back and forth. You see all these little nuances, all these little subtle cool animation things that happen as the animation progresses. So I think we're really working to up our game when it comes to not just adding a little polish to the website, but what can we do for the game in general? What can we do? Because people talk all day long, hey, Nate, win 3D, win VR, win AR, win this, win that. And it's like, okay, well, hopefully we now have the resources to kind of pursue those things. But we don't want to leave behind the fact that this game right in front of us right now is web-based. And we have to be sensitive to the fact that some people are on their phones, on their data plans. We have to figure out a way. How can we add animation and cool stuff that's not native mobile, that's not a downloadable client on your PC, that doesn't require a VR headset? What can we do for those folks who rely on our game to kind of help pay the bills or put food on the table for their family? We don't want to pull the rug under these folks and say, suddenly you need these high specs to do this crazy 3D experience and all this other stuff. But what can we do still elevate the production quality? And like this animation right here, that's a GIF. So of course it's like 17 megabytes to download that GIF. But when it goes on the website, all the little pieces of Waka are on this like sprite sheet. It's like little tiny pieces of him. You got fingers, you got eyeballs, you got this. And if you looked at it, it looks like, he just exploded in a million little pieces. That file is about 700 kilobytes. It's not that big. And then the rest of him is animated with JSON and JavaScript and the player that's embedded within the website. So we're finding new ways that we can go ahead and elevate production value while still retaining the roots of our game being browser-based. And if we go explore other forms of gameplay that have all kinds of cool, crazy graphics and 3D and all the stuff that people have been asking for, then great. But it'll be in addition to what we have with the website. We don't want to leave that behind. That provides accessibility to our players, that allows anyone and everyone around the world to be able to play our game without the latest, greatest, expensive super device with the highest specs. So I think that's important, and I'm really proud of the team for making the strides that they have. So great job, Senny. The other thing that and before I move off from Waka, if anyone wants a wallpaper, here's another one with Waka. So enjoy. The other thing that we're working on, and it was kind of promised last time, is like, okay, what about this Imagine Dragons trailer that we're showing at the concerts, and the Maker Tour for Imagine Dragons still going on. It'll go on for a while. We are updating the trailer that is going to be provided. However, taking that 30-second clip and making it into a GIF just wasn't feasible. But what I did do, just so that I could share some stuff with you guys, I did try to take the tail end of the trailer and turn it into a GIF that would fit in the Discord and that would actually, be practical to play. So this is the first draft. And I say first draft because we only had a few days to kind of get this trailer pushed out and onto the screens of the tour because we just didn't have much time. So this is a first glimpse at the Imagine Dragon that appears at the end, right before the logo and the plate urn and the website. So I'll put that in here. And this, again, it speaks to, we're never satisfied. We're never satisfied with just where we're at. We always want to improve. We always want to evolve what's happening with not just the game, with our marketing assets, with our image, our branding, and all that good stuff. So we've already started working on version 2 of the video. And since we have a little bit more time, like you look at the Imagine Dragon on there, on that trailer, and you think, well, that looks cool. You have no idea. That barely touches upon the talent that is in the team if we give them the support and the time in order to really push out what they're capable of. So Matuez, I think I pronounced that right, Matt for short, lives in Poland. He's our concept artist, and he was tasked with, okay, well, you made a cool Imagine Dragon. What are we going to do next? So here's the next evolution of Imagine Dragon that would appear in the trailer. So just so you can kind of see where our heads are at. And that'll be animated and introduced into the trailer, and it's going to look pretty cool. So I'm very happy with the progress being made with the creative team and what they're able to push out and what they're capable of doing. One last thing I'd like to say is, I mean, there's a lot that we're working on besides, these couple of projects. I mean, Modern and Wild, that's a big one. We have assets being created to represent loot chests that you would receive in Modern that would look different from the loot chests you would get in Wild. We have, hopefully, possibly new League badges that will represent Wild and Modern. Lots of background art being created so that every step along the way, as you progress through, let's say, Modern, you'll see different backgrounds through the battle overview screen. And then when you get matched up with an opponent, and then when you get the battle results, or maybe even during the battle, there's a lot that we want to do. And, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, you won't get all of this stuff when it's first launched. Because I think first and foremost, our concern was, well, how quickly can we give this functionality to the player? But so very soon thereafter, you will see more and more and more visual improvements being made to that functionality so that it looks more and more and more polished. But I think the focus here is, let's get it out to you guys. We'll try to add visuals as best we can for that launch, but don't worry. There is a ton load. There's an army of creatives all working on cool visuals and animations and stuff. And you're going to see, as soon as we launch, week after week after week, you're going to see constant improvement and constant polish and constant refinement to what's already there. So that's exciting stuff. One last thing is, if you guys aren't reading, we keep touching upon lore. If you haven't been reading the lore, I think the last lore was These Strange Gods. That lore specifically speaks to unravel some of the mystery behind why is Silas this mysterious character who leads the Chaos Legion. What is their motivations? Why are they trying to open a rift and conquer the Splinterlands? What's going on there? So, perfect. Thank you very much, Asaria, and thank you, Asaria, for publishing. She's instrumental in taking all these assets and everything the creative team's doing, get them pushed up and published and looking nice and formatted properly. And you're going to see artwork like this, which is really cool. I mean, just looking at the artwork, that should be kind of incentive enough to kind of say, check out these posts, even if you don't want to read. There's all this cool illustrated artwork that is a very dramatic backdrop to all these crazy events that are happening in the Splinterlands. So that's what we're working on now. That's what we're continuing to work on, and there's a whole bunch of other stuff too. But we'll worry about that on future town halls.
Well, the one other thing I would put on the radar is I know folks are interested in land. Do you want to give some kind of update? I think the next team that's spinning up is going to have the creative folks for land, the developers for land, and that's going to be kind of like a third simultaneous project. That's not just I know we've been working on land for a while, so it's not like it hasn't been doing anything, but it's now it's really going to face like a full team of people, not just the creative assets, but the developers and the product owners and the marketing aspect of this. Like, where are you guys at with land? And when do you think that there could be like a folder that's like, we're ready, here's the folder of all the creative assets we got, and let's start wiring this thing up, at least for the phase 1?
No, for sure. I would say that the asset production to prepare for LAN has been ongoing for, I'd say, the past year, right? So we have been, and some of you have seen in previous town halls, me sharing, here's a common hills, or here's an epic, mountain, or, you see these different landscapes that I've shared in the past. And all of that has been being produced well in advance, because it just requires a ton load of time to produce that much. When you got 14 geography types, and you got occupied land, and you got magic land, and you got 6 different elements of different types of magic land, all at 4 different rarities. I mean, the combinations are mind-boggling, and in order to support those combinations, there's a ton load of asset production that needs to be made, a lot of artwork, a lot of graphic visual assets. So that's all been ongoing, and we finally got to the point where it's like, okay, as we get past all these features and functionalities and updates to the game, as we start building the structure of product teams, and how are we going to tackle all this so that we can do more, quicker, faster, better. You got, I think recently we had a product team meeting specifically about land. Recently, we got the devs in the same room, as the UX is the same room, as art as the same room, as everyone involved in this room, at least at a leadership level, and said, okay, we've been talking about it. We've been wanting to do it. We've been, working independently of each other for quite a while now, preparing for this, and now it's time. And it made the whole thing feel very real, because it's one thing to talk about. It's one thing to see all the assets being made. It's one thing to see the little region grid being made on the development side, and me, discussing how that's going to work, and here's what we got to do, and here's the map, and here's this and that. I mean, work has been continuing, but we finally got all in the same room and say, okay, it's time to make dates. It's time to make this real. It's time to actually move forward as a group in lockstep, one step at a time, until this thing is done. And so I think that it's an exciting time. And if you're a player and you've been waiting for Winland, very dramatic, impactful strides are being made internally to make sure that realization happens. It's not just talk. It's not just, we're finally taking all these assets and saying, okay, what do we do with them now? And so it's happening, guys. So very exciting times.
Awesome. We are working on the reward changes. I think we're gonna wait until Hardpoint's here to go talk about it. So maybe next week or the week after. Okay. I think that's pretty good. We're running a little bit over the sort of team time. If there's Chatter and Nate, if there's anything that you kind of want to leave us with before we move into the question section, I'd welcome a sort of closing thoughts on the town hall portion.
I mean, I have some trivia to do on my side. I don't know if we want to do that now or at the end of the stream.
That works. Do you want to go talk about what the trivia is for first?
Yeah, absolutely. So the trivia is going to be based on the lore. We're going to try and do this more on a weekly cadence here. So for those who are staying up to base on the lore, we'll be asking kind of 2 to 3 questions every single week. The winners will receive some packs, and just the first one to get the question right is going to be the winner. So kicking things off here, and just reply in the chat. I'm watching Discord and Twitch right now. Question 1 is, who is the robed figure from the story These Strange Gods? All right. Chance the guy got it. Oh, I guess Clay did, but Clay, you're not counting. So Chance the guy, send me your in-game name. Just type me in the chat there. And then question 2, from the story of Asian, what great hero of the sea saves Harvey before he escapes into the jungle? Wow, right on that. Hanam got it right away. Awesome. So send me your IGNs, both of you. I'll tag you in the chat there just as a reminder. But I'll get those packs to you right after this town hall. Thank you so much.
Oh, and to follow up on that, so Aggroed, I need to remind me, I need to touch base with you and get some packs as rewards, because I did want to explain that we got a lot of submissions, because in previous town halls we asked people, hey, look, we gave a Google form and they filled it out and said, what would you like to see as a Splinter Bite, specifically as tips to help other players get better at the game. And there was a lot of cool submissions. A lot of them were selected, and you guys should be happy to hear that you will be immortalized in the game. You'll be able to see, your contribution and your little user, your game name, right there as the, the author of this Splinter Bite that is hopefully going to help all these people being onboarded and trying to understand the game a little bit better. Your tips are going to help, and we're going to reward you not just with that immortalization in the game, but also a few packs. So be looking out for that. But finally, recently got the JSON file ready and prepped with all the new Splinter Bites. So for those of you who've been looking at Splinter Bites in the game and saying, well, that seems a little outdated, or that's kind of obsolete, or that doesn't seem quite right anymore, don't worry. That's being handed off to devs pretty soon, so that we're going to basically revamp all the Splinter Bites that you see. And for these of you that are watching this, may not be familiar with the game and like Splinter Bites, what the hell is that? That's when you're waiting for an opponent and you're being matched up and you click that battle button and you're like ready to play. There's like a brief period of time where it flashes across the screen some cool lore or some kind of tip or some kind of trick to the game to kind of, further add depth to not only your understanding of the game, but maybe an understanding of the history and lore behind all the characters and what's happening in the world. So all of those are going to be revised and revamped soon, and you're going to see a whole new set of Splinter Bites. So it's very exciting, and I'm very proud of for the narrative team that kind of put that together, because it was definitely a big group team effort. So thank you for all you narrative team members who played a part in that. And thank you for Joey for taking the lead on that whole project. So there you go.
Awesome. One more thing from my side too, which is a bit more of exciting news, is with the Imagine Dragons, the ads that we're running in the tour right now, is we are actually able to get some of the tickets. So Beth, who is one of our kind of marketing members on the team right now, she's going to be putting together a bit of a giveaway contest on Gleam. We'll be shooting that out either tomorrow or on Friday, but it'll be free to enter, and you have a chance of winning some Imagine Dragon tickets in your area if they're touring around you.
Sweet. So awesome. Yeah, I'm totally stoked for Imagine Dragons tickets. I think getting those out to the community and just showing that we're getting hooked up with some of the coolest bands and some of the coolest people that are out there, and this is us starting. We're like, where are you guys going to start? I don't know. Let's start with Imagine Dragons. Like that's aiming high and landing true. So I'm pretty pleased with what we're doing and the way that we're going.
And Aggie, and let me just add real quick, the main thing that I want to say with Splinterlands and Waka Flocka is like we cannot say names of some of the people that we've had conversations about in the past week and a half. Like it seems like, people are always wanting instantaneous, like the moment Chatter has a meeting, he needs to send out a Discord message, a notification to everybody. Like, you need, like, as an audience, like, I don't want to talk down to an audience, but I want to try to explain, like, even as a starting point, like, if your entry point is Imagine Dragons and Waka Flocka, you are already at a stage that a lot of people, a lot of games, a lot of communities never even get to. So, for the trajectory that we're heading on is not only crazy, but the things that will be announced in the future here will only continue to go up. And that's crazy to think about. Like, your starting platform is Imagine Dragons. Oh, you're just a little hometown band that nobody knows about. Like it, I'm so excited to be able to see these things that people are working on, and that it's gonna be from where we sit today to even 6 months in the future, the difference is gonna be absolutely insane.
Rock on. Okay. So hopefully Beth or somebody else is here to go help us with stage 2, which is answering some questions. There it is, reality versus model. Thanks for being here. So now what I want to go do is answer some community questions. These community questions were previously submitted over the last week or so. If some of this stuff is for the devs, I'm not going to be able to go answer all of this. So I may have to go skip some questions until they're back. That's not me like dodging questions so much as it is me punting questions for short periods of time. I don't think there's too many pages here, but so I'm going to read on my phone so I can also go answer these questions and look at what chat's doing. It's a crazy thing to try to host these things. So anyways, what do you guys think about reducing DEC rewards for skipping battles and giving DEC rewards to those who don't skip? There's like an entire rework, and I don't know if that particular piece got in, but like ranked battle rewards are getting like a major facelift. So stay tuned for that. Would you ever consider reinstating new player rewards to incentivizing growing the player base? Well, I don't know. Matt always talks about it's not just new players; it's players that don't have a lot of stake, and we can't just like be giving away free money to brand new players because people in crypto are going to go take advantage of that. So we have to be careful with the ways that we do it, which basically means you have to own some stake if you want to start earning anything. That's not just to like make the business make more money. That's to like make sure that the economy doesn't leak value. So these are some of the basics of what we put in. So we'll see. Hopefully, what we'll do is make it so that like if there's fewer dumb rewards going out, then there's more good rewards that we can pass out to everybody, and we can be comfortable with that. So I think what we're going to get is like more chess. Maybe not all the chess will be at the same level anymore. There's going to be some like differences. So if you might get like 6 bronze chess as opposed to just the 1. We know that the 1 is just pretty like it is not satisfactory for like a user experience. So, I'd love to say that this will be done next week. I don't think it's going to be. I think it's going to take some time still, but we're definitely doing our best to revamp the ranked battle rewards. All right, what is the ETA on the revision of the reward system? I actually don't know the latest on that. Maybe at the end of next month. I don't really know. There's a lot going on, so that we would also have to like code this stuff up, and I'm not even sure that we're done with all the changes. So
I will say, Aggroed, that as we work on Modern Wild, especially when I was doing the wireframing and trying to conceive of the overall UX, there's different phases planned because there's so much overlap between what we're trying to do with Modern Wild and how that affects the future ranked. So all the different screens, how they're laid out. There's nothing high fidelity that was created yet, but from a high level, these are all considerations we're trying to make as we work through the Modern Wild. But yeah, as far as providing ETA, I'm with you on that. We're just not quite there yet.
Sweet. All right, marketing. Who do I need to reach to get a Splinterlands poster with my QR code?
Yeah, thank you for the reminder about that actually too. I'll post the visual of that in the chat in a second, but long story short, for those who didn't tune in last town hall, we are giving away kind of QR codes and poster images so that if you guys want to go blow that up into a poster and post it around the town wherever you live, or maybe post it in some brick and mortar shops, it'll have your referral link attached to that so that anytime someone's signing up via that poster, that QR code that they're scanning, it'll be accredited to your account. Reach out to me, just DM me. I'll leave my Discord in the chat there, but we'll get that made for you for sure.
Can we get sign-up numbers from any of the Imagine Dragons concerts? If we can track it, it would be a wonderful metric to know how effective this marketing campaign is. And Liam, I swear I didn't write that.
Yeah, I don't have those offhand, but give me some time. I'll try and bring some numbers for next town hall for you guys.
All right. So upcoming features, SBS Validator. If I set up a validator node for SBS, am I guaranteed some SBS rewards, or do those only, or do only those who are upvoted get them? So it's like a witness system. That's my understanding. I'm not Matt. I didn't code this thing, but we have been heavily influenced by the Steam and the Hive blockchain in terms of how we think through things and how we design things. So what I believe we are planning on doing is making it so that if you run a validator node, your stake is what votes you into the top witness positions. If you are in the top 20 witnesses, or I don't know how many he's choosing, but if you're in the top witnesses or the top validators, then you'll earn rewards. And then there should, in theory, be sort of like backup validator nodes that are also awarded there as well. So I see that happening. Mobile, can you give us a status update on the development of the mobile app? So we're still kind of in flux on what the mobile app is and what we're going to do with that. Hardpoint and I were talking yesterday about really spinning up like an entire mobile team. So in the past, we've had like a handful of developers that were third-party developers that were helping us with that. But I think I'm personally leaning towards we should just get like a whole mobile development team. So that's not like a super immediate gratification answer, but I think it is one that will help. In part, this is being spurred by the fact that some basically one of the world's biggest companies is interested in us and sort of what our mobile capabilities are. So so getting more mobile is like a strategic objective for the business and hopefully good for the players. And it's something that we've always wanted to work on, but it's just hard. Nate, you have something to add?
Oh yeah, I was just going to say that. I mean, ideally, I mean, like Aggroed was saying, it's such the preliminary, step. So nothing has been finalized on the exact specific direction for mobile. But I think that internally, most of us agree that we would rather replace the mobile web app that we have now, which is kind of very, for those of you familiar with mobile development. There's native experience, which means that you're kind of downloading all the assets to the phone and you have all this, 3D capability of all this cool stuff to make it look visually like, wow. Then there's, maybe, some people use like React, where, you code in React and then it exports out to iOS and Android formats. And a lot of the assets are kind of like, it's very much like a website experience, but in the form of an app. And that's what we have now is a web app experience. That was the easiest thing to launch with. But I think internally we all kind of prefer to have a native experience. And I think, if as the meetings progress and we just discuss it internally, I know that I have personally been, as I build out the creative side, have been looking at Unity skill set specifically. So, if we end up creating a Unity-based mobile app experience with all kinds of cool, advanced gameplay features. So, you have the web browser, which has the cool experience that it has now, but I can only imagine that someday you'd have a mobile app experience where, hey, if you really want to see these animations pop and see 3D and all this crazy stuff happening, go download the app, and maybe, you download the app and you're like, whoa, this is amazing. So, and again, like I said earlier in the town hall, this would be in addition to, not to replace what we have going on with the web browser experience. But that's just, at this point, it's just talk. It's just internal discussions. But yeah, I think that, if the players want a cooler mobile app experience, the team definitely does too. So for sure.
Okay. Any thoughts about how neutral cards will be used in land? Yeah, the first phase of land is really just like claiming it. The second phase, where you might actually be producing resources, is even still further out. So any thoughts, it are high level, but basically we're planning on having summoners and monsters be working on the land to help speed up your production. And I imagine that there will be benefits and and some configurations that will be more strong than others for different types of land and different types of resources. So, there'll be some strategy to what you apply, and hopefully it's not just set it and forget it. How many tracks are waiting to be formed into regions that still have a chance of finding a castle instead of a keep? Yeah, I don't have those stats off the top of my head, but that's good to know. And I see a Moo Killer with like a pretty sweet setup there with the whole Waka background. That's looking pretty sharp, bro.
Yeah, that's pretty insane.
Yeah, kudos on that. It's going to be awesome. We get this whole stream team up and running, and suddenly there's, hundreds of people that are streaming us around the clock. That's going to be, I don't know what that'll do, but I imagine that it helps bring more people here and retain the ones that we do have. So, okay. Do you think track owners should have a higher chance of finding a castle than a single plot owner versus no guaranteed chance? So all of that was defined in the white paper when we put it out. So you can't just even if I thought yes or no, it wouldn't really matter because we already sold this stuff. So it's going to be, we're not going to do an about face and be like, well, we told you it would work this way, and now we're going to do something entirely differently. Unless there's some kind of exploit bug or something that's broken, we're going to try to stick with the white paper as much as we can, because that's the stuff we sold.
Well, I'm thinking that, I'm no expert at statistical probability, but if you bought a tract and you already guaranteed to have at least a castle or a keep, rather, you're guaranteed to at least have a keep. So versus a single plot owner who's not really guaranteed anything, I'm assuming that it's already kind of baked in that the tract owner has a higher probability. But again, I'm not a statistician. I don't, I couldn't speak to that. But my brain is saying common sense wise, well, isn't it already kind of, you know what I mean?
Yeah, at a bare minimum, so I took that as sort of like the table stakes. But yeah, if you own a tract, you have 100 times more likelihood of having a castle than just a single plot. But I think they're looking for, shouldn't it be weighted even more heavily in favor of the tract than the plot owner? And maybe, but that's not how we sold it. So, you still, it's not like, a plot and a tract don't have the exact same chance. It's just that there's not additional weighting above and beyond it. I guess there is a little, because you get the guaranteed keep, which might actually turn into a castle. So, your tract is inherently better at that, but we're not going to absurd lengths to make it even more better. All right. According to the SPS white paper, some SPS were allocated to brawl battles, rank battles. Where are those SPS stored, and can we get a look at how big each of those pools currently is? Where are they stored? They're still on the primary contract address for that, and they will. There's nothing that's Matt and I are not revising that. We're not changing that. It's just all about trying to deliver that. And part of getting validators up and running is, I think, to go help make these aspects safer for the entire community and better for the entire community. And so this is a matter of priorities and teams and what we can get. But this stuff is all still in the works. Is Waka Splinterblade limited to one per account? I think that would be a good idea. No, it's not, because it's crypto and you can just make infinite accounts. So it doesn't actually save you that much hassle. What happens to the vouchers and SPS from SPL from the Splinterlands Waka sale, and by extension, the proceeds of the WAC sale? Can you guys please elaborate on if it's income for SPL, burn, put in the DAO, given to Waka, etc.? Thank you. Yeah, there's 3 teams that are involved in this: the Waka team, our team, and sort of a middle group. So profits are being split between 4 different entities. Some of that is going to get the promotion, some of that is going to get the deal put in place, and also to just give everybody incentives. Some of us to go design this card, which doesn't operate normally. It takes a bunch of resources to do this, and some will be profit for the business. And you know what we like to do with profit for the business is hire people and make more cool stuff. I think it's my understanding that we're accepting vouchers and SBS for the sale. You know, having more utility, especially like limited edition items, I think is good for the ecosystem. So, you know, you probably want to have some vouchers and some SBS if you'd like to get your Waka Flocka cards at the initial offered price. How are you ensuring that bots don't buy up all the Waka cards the first few minutes they go on sale? Well, a lot of that still comes back to like there is a voucher system, right? So like there's not an infinite number of vouchers in the world. Maybe they're all about to get used for whatever's in circulation, but you know, there is some scarcity to that. You know, if everybody chooses to spend their vouchers immediately, then they'll get sold out. This is a limited edition promotion. That's kind of how it works. So if you're feeling a little FOMO, just understand that you're not the only one, and that ultimately it's really good for the game. If you don't get the card and you really wanted it, you know, I know that can be frustrating, but it's this weird balance of we can't mint enough for everybody and hope that everything continues to have like perfect values or perfect distributions. You know, you gotta have some scarcity to go drawing crowds and get sellouts and make things happen. And that kind of press is good for the game and good for all of us, even though it might be individually frustrating. You know, we'll see how this one goes. If it is totally broken, then you know maybe we'll do a raffle system like we did for Land V1. So before just assuming everything is doom and gloom, you know, let's see how it goes. Maybe this one doesn't work perfectly, but we'll see what they look like. Voucher. What was the reasoning for removing the 1 million SBS count for voucher rewards? That was initially put in. So there were two. Yeah, it's just for the voucher rewards. That if you had 1 million or more SBS, you stop getting the benefit of as many vouchers. And just it was when we first launched. You know, there was like I don't know, it was like 60 million SBS in circulation, or it was relatively small. So if you had like a whole million, it was actually like a pretty sizable chunk of the pool. Now there's something like 500 million that's out. So if you have 1 million, it's not really as big of a deal. So you know, just having that distribution really like do go closer to completion. That was kind of enough for us to say, okay, well, it doesn't really make a big difference now. There are a couple people that have more than 1 million, but they're not going to eat up, you know, 20% of the pool by doing this. So it was a good safeguard when we first started and did the initiation of the whole thing, but then we were like, anyways, there we go. Brawls and tournaments. Are there any issues with anytime tournaments where a player submitting cards second can see the cards of the player who submitted them first? Didn't we change that setting internally so that like it's not choose it, it's just always hidden now?
I think that's something being worked on still. I'm not sure if it's being fully released yet.
Yeah, it's my understanding that it has been, but again, that would be like a thing that we should check in with Armpoint or Madeline to see the actual status of that. Or maybe it's in the game and one of the players can go look, but yeah, you can't see the opponent's cards anymore. I was pretty sure that was like something that we already fixed. All right, suggestions and requests. So just so you guys know, we do have feedback.splinterlands.com. So it's possible that we're just going to go tell people, hey, make this a suggestion. And depending on what the players want, we'll go add feature. We have like some of our teamers just working on requests from the community. So these are kind of your like lifestyle enhancements and quality of life stuff. So, all right, is it possible or could you make it possible to download a high quality image of our cards? I have some really cool cards that have great utility in game and are worth a lot. They also look incredible. I'd love to have a higher resolution copy of them to get them printed, or even to show off on my walls within the different metaverses. They're not just cards, they're art and status symbols. I want to be able to show off my cards more. So that gets back to what Matt was saying of yes, we're doing that, especially for the Chaos Legion cards, and that's what Tamer was helping us do, who was our guest earlier in the show. How much work would it be to build a bridge to OpenSea? So we actually had a bridge to OpenSea and we closed it because gas fees got so high. I don't know where that falls on the priority list right now, but I have been talking about, hey, maybe we should go open this up again. So we'll see. Does the team have any plans to add more cosmetics and skins? What are your thoughts on something like a battle pass with seasonal skins that players need to pay for, or completing missions to get limited edition skins? The whole process of getting money into Splinterlands is very confusing for the average consumer. I guess that's a separate question, but yeah,
skins are going to be the bane of my existence.
What is your thought? I mean, I go back and forth with Matt of like, we haven't seen huge sales, but we also haven't put a lot of utility into them. So like, and the first set of skins is like, they were decent, but they're not like earth shattering. So I don't think that we've reached the full potential of skins, but it's hard when they haven't been like gangbuster sales to go motivate the rest of the team to be like, we should put more emphasis on this. That's kind of what I see. Nate, what do you see?
I see that for those of you who haven't heard my answer in previous town halls in regards to skins, it is something that seems to be a recurring request, and the main challenge isn't that we can't do it or we won't do it. It's more that we just haven't quite plan things out strategically so that the idea of skins is easily scalable for what we want to do. When I say that, I mean, number one, if you're going to introduce a skin and people goes and pays money for a skin, then when Battles 2.0 is finally released and everything's animated, well, okay, it's not just about creating new skin artwork. It's about making sure that artwork is animated, prepped for animation, all that stuff. There's a certain pipeline that all this artwork would need to go through, and we got to think through that ahead of time. We can't just throw, oh, okay, look, it looks different on the card. Well, okay, we have these plans for what to do with the artwork down the road. In addition, there's land. Players are going to be able to mint spells and items pretty soon, and that's going to introduce a second phase of gameplay. And when that happens, if we just throw skins at the game like crazy people right now, then what happens at that phase of battle when suddenly no one knows what the heck is going on? Like, what spells and items do I play? Because it's no longer just a simple playback. It's hey, you have 1 minute to evaluate the battlefield, figure out who's doing what, and then add your spells or items as necessary, to win the battle. And if you don't even know what the characters are because there's so many skins in the game that you can't tell who's who. So we have to, now these might have easy solutions. Like, hey, Nate, why don't you just add a hover? So if you kind of like hover your cursor over that card, you could see the original artwork. You could say, okay, the player's okay with spending an extra few seconds hovering over the cards to see what those characters are. Okay, all right. But then what about mobile? Are you hovering over mobile? How would that happen? So, these are all the things that I go through in my brain, UX wise, when someone says, oh yeah, just add some skins to the game. It's like, well, okay, there's more involved here than just throwing a bunch of artwork at the game. But having said that, because it seems to be such an in-demand thing, because not only do the players want it, the team wants it too. I want skins. I would love to see skins. I think what we'll probably end up doing is, as we ramp up to prepare for, if not Rift Watchers, at least the big major core set after that Rebellion, I'm thinking that all artwork will be created with skins in mind. That as we create this artwork, I would like to see all the characters being made different versions of themselves, maybe with different outfits, different costumes, different themes, different whatever, and that's included in the production, so that when it comes time to finally launch skins the way they should be, all all the foundation is set, everything's in place, and it's done in a seamless, beautiful, cohesive manner so that all the artwork matches what we're trying to do, our branding, our IP, all that stuff. So I see it happening. I'd like to see it happen. We plan on making it happen. I just got to work through the, how we're going to do that. And again, I think this is the last time I'm going to hear that question on a town hall before I say, you know what? After today, I'm going to go to the creative team. We're going to add that actual task project. We'll dedicate some internal resources to figuring out, look, how are we going to figure out the skin stuff so that it's scalable, so that we could do it sooner rather than later? I think, the demand is clearly there. So we'll figure it out.
I don't know. So that's the could there be more ways to earn vouchers such as Brawl rewards? Unfortunately, no. You could technically do it if people want to go stake and make a pool and then have the pool rewards go to something, that could work. But the paper's already out. How that already functions is already out. It's not something that I think we're going to see changing much, except maybe after we get the voucher system, not the voucher, the validator system up and running. So if we can do the validator system, then you guys can be like, we want this to change, and we'll be like, well, get stake to vote for it, and then we'll do what the stake wants. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes. Okay. I think that's it for all the previous questions. We have about 20 minutes left for current questions. So if their reality is so with it. Okay, so ask your questions. Please only ask them once. You guys have maybe like 10 minutes to ask questions, and then we'll stop taking questions at 10:50. And then after that, we'll see what we want to do. So here's Mildan. Does the team have a view or ideas why the recently already done marketing is not converting into new users and spellbooks being sold? Brave marketing, billboards, walk a tweet, mall arcade, and any other marketing that is supposed to have gone live has not really seemed to have expected results. No, Chatter, go for it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the bear market and a lot of the kind of bot plays that we've been doing have played quite a bit in that. So prior to, I guess, a lot of the marketing that we pushed, I mean, one, it's still, everything's ramping up right now. It's still early days. It's going to take kind of multiple touch points for people to convert. So if they're coming in from, let's say, like Waka or whatever else, it's going to take likely a few weeks, especially in a bear market. One is trying to familiarize them with crypto and then actually push them through into the game after that. But two is just the bot stuff. There was a whole bunch of inflated numbers. Prior, we were getting a ton of people making a lot of bots. And then after a lot of the Bronze 2 to Bronze 3 changes and everything, there's a lot of them wiped out there.
And I also want to add that, within this, I mentioned last week, turning the Titanic wasn't a quick little thing. You know what I mean? Like, it takes a while if we even announce something here in the town hall, that doesn't disseminate to somebody who plays once or twice a week today. You know what I mean? Like, it takes them a while to even know what's happening within the ecosystem as it is now. I think also, like, this is kind of where I step in, and like tournaments have to be more new player friendly to get people in that system, right? Like, a lot of this game is not just about how many times you've played, it's how many times you consistently come back and play. So having that experience where people go, oh, I played in a tournament, I've played in a few tournaments. We want to encourage them to be able to go, oh, I now play in 3 tournaments. I've played in 1 a week. I play in 2 a week now. Like, a lot of those new players have to be onboarded. You know what I mean? Like, when you start a new job, you don't just walk in the door and know how everything works. New players are a process to really get them in and be aware of us, and then also understand how to buy a spell book, why buy a spell book, what do you do after you buy the spell book. Like, all of that is steps. So I think it's it can never be addressed with one solution, and we've started the first ones already.
Yep. Yeah. There's not one. There's no silver bullet. It's like when you're in a bear and freaking Bitcoin has gone from 67,000 to 43,000. It's hard at that point to grow your game. That's like that's not the time that I would be like, why aren't we growing as much? if things are more bullish and everybody is pouring in and everybody's trying to clamor around and we're not seeing growth, then I'm going to be actually like really concerned. Now it's just like, okay, well, we got to go grind as best as we can while things are down, and just put as much stuff into position as we can, so that when all this stuff rallies, that we're riding that wave. It's not the growth chart is not like straight up vertical indefinitely. There's peaks and valleys, and you slow, and we kill some bots, and then we grow again, and it's fits and starts. So I don't know. It's a good question.
80% of this is just being in the position to succeed, right? Like, it's not like you get the call of an opportunity and then you have lead time, you have to get ready for it. Right now, we are preparing to be ready for when that opportunity comes, to have another straight up type thing with all the players. It sounds like counterintuitive, but you can't force people to come in and all of a sudden latch onto the game. You have to be in a position that when people do come, you're ready to show them like a really good, really fun game that they love enjoying and interacting with. And that's what makes player growth go up. It's not necessarily like we go out there and just do a thing and that's what's stopping players from coming into the game.
Question: what made the team to decide to sell Waka at max instead of singles, so it can be catered to all sorts of players? That actually had to go do with the fact that Waka is not living on a single chain. It's living here and also on Atomic Hub and Wax. And part of this is that the max level card, forget if it represents something physical, but they were very much looking to go have a limited supply and wanted no more than 1,000 cards to go out. And so if there's no more than 1,000 cards to go out, and like we have a pretty big collection with Chaos Legion, we have to figure out like, what does this look like then? How do we organize this? And so, we came up with the thing that makes the most sense given the requirements to work with them is we just need to sell these things as signals as opposed to not single like max level things, not here's every individual card, because there would just be too much in circulation for the other parts of the project, which are not really like Splinterlands facing. But hopefully, that promotion gets us more people on Wax and more people through Waka, and gets folks that are excited to be here. Marchenko's asking, can we bring back the old system where you can play with your friends for packs, or now can we do DEC, SBS, or vouchers? Yeah, I would put that on feedback.splinterlands.com, because I don't think that's like a huge project. It just needs to become like a priority for the team. So if it's just Marchenko asking, then it's hard to prioritize it. But if the community makes their voice heard, then we can put some devs on that. Chests are done. Could there be a market for them if made tradable? I don't think that. Are we doing NFT chess rewards? I think they're still fungible, or I think they're still like basically soulbound, right?
Chest rewards, as in the chest you get from end of season or quests?
Yeah.
Or something else. I mean, that's a very interesting idea. I think it just plays into, how does that affect the economics and what comes in the chest? Is anything in the chest intended to be, I don't know, soulbound, if you will? I don't think so. I'm trying to remember what comes in the chest.
I think the chests are going to stay soulbound for now, but I don't know. Let's get the new rank system out. If we wanted to go make that change to something where we can.
I think potions is the biggest complication of that idea, because potions, once you buy them, are kind of locked into your account. So we have to figure out whether we intend to keep it that way or not, and that'll reflect on the decision whether we end up tokenizing chests. I suspect.
Does the SBS airdrop reset after 365 days? No, it doesn't. The SBS airdrop ends after the total of 365 days is up. And is there any plan to use voucher for the land? Yeah, I mean, vouchers basically, we've been saying from the beginning, we plan to use vouchers for everything. So plan on, upgrades requiring them, or some of the coolest features or coolest things that you want to put into land, they're all going to require vouchers. Question: can we get an Iron Maiden partnership? Slipknot is a possibility. I don't know if that's cool enough, but that's on the radar maybe. And hopefully there's some more things that we can do. On the shop front page, the first thing you see now is Waka instead of packs. Do you think this is good?
I mean that's a UX decision. So yeah, when the shop redesign is still underway, really. The idea was that anytime there's an ultra super special limited edition celebrity promotion, anything like that would be big but short time. Like it's probably going to sell out relatively quickly. Then as a default, that becomes the initial experience when you click on the shop. And I think it makes a lot of sense. I don't know if I need to explain further why that would make sense. I think the question is more Waka specifically, but no, I mean, I think it still holds true, regardless of I don't know. What do you think, Aggroed? You think we should shuffle that to a second tab?
I'm not allowed to hang pictures in my house. I don't get to make those kinds of decisions. I mean, I think for limited times it makes a lot of sense. I don't think it should live like that forever, but this is a pretty cool partnership that we're doing, and I think we should celebrate it. So,
like we do intend to add a tab called Premium, which is what when you hear references to the voucher store, that's what we're talking about. Is this tab that's going to be called Premium, and it's going to have kind of like a similar layout as you would see on the potion shop, where you have all these different products and you need vouchers to buy them, right? So that will not be the default. That'll be kind of further in because, again, once the limited time special ultra promotion is over, we do want the Chaos Legion packs to be front and center when there's not some big promotion going on. So
how far are we with the arcade games? I like the idea a lot, especially for streamers to have some more gameplay. Yeah, it's in development. I mean, it's not. I don't have full teams put on that yet because we're still sort of like scoping out what parts of that we want to try and how much effort and emphasis to put on it. But I do think it's a pretty good. So far, it's been like an amazing thought experiment for our team to try to work through that and think through. Even if we just want to put little Splinterpeed or Splinterlands invaders, like what would that look like? How do you even do it? And so it's on the radar, it's on the roadmap, and we're thinking through. But I'd say that's still very much in like ideation and early design, not like ready to go populate in any way. Elephantium's asking if money from Waka sales are to be split with Waka middlemen and Splinterlands, will this SBS be sold? I don't imagine Waka will want to be paid in SBS. No, whatever we take in, we'll take it in as SBS, and then I think we'll give our partners like fiat or something, and we'll just hold on to the SBS. When will the shop be implemented in the mobile app? What obstacles are in the way? Like Google and Android are in the way. Some of the shop aspects you can add in, but markets and other things, putting in money and just having anything crypto related, it's all pain in the butt. Security issues, credit card issues. There's like a billion different challenges to that. So I think it's like play only mode right now, and the mobile use is still like a really small portion of what we do. And it gets you into that catch-22 of like, well, we want more mobile, but nobody's using mobile. So why would we spend a lot of time if nobody's going to use it? But like I said, I think the plan is to go build out like a whole mobile team. So we'll get more stuff done for mobile later on. Mick 2K2 is asking any hints on what one of the largest companies of the world wants with little old Splinterlands. I mean, little old Splinterlands is like literally leading dApps around the world. And as everybody is talking about metaverse and AR, VR, and blockchain, everything, nobody has a freaking clue how to do it. There's very few companies that have any idea how to do this stuff at scale. Splinterlands is one of them. So some of the biggest brands in the world and some of the biggest businesses in the world are asking us questions like, how do we do this when there's millions of people that might be coming in? And there's not a lot of teams out there that can advise them or have any kind of like, we do like 3 to 5 million transactions per day on chain. Like there's not a lot of projects that do that. We are like orders of magnitude ahead of others. So everybody wants to be a blockchain business because it can 10x your value. So they're all trying to figure that out. I asked a while back, but now that Nate is here, I'll ask again. Will we ever get a Chimea card? She has artwork and lore, but isn't in the game. Also, will we be updated on what she's doing or thinks about in the Chaos Legion? Lastly, is there any OOL, UUL card or Carnage Titan info?
All right. So there's for those of you who haven't been around in the past, we created this lore book, which was available in a Kickstarter for those of you who participated or contributed in that. Then and there's a PDF of that bouncing around that you can get access to, and that we should probably make more accessible. But something that you should be aware of is the Chaos Legion, that card set, this era, the Chaos War, everything that's happening. I'm just warning you guys. It's gonna upset the overall balance that came before. It's going to basically change the world in very dramatic ways. Not just with major characters, but the landscape, so maybe even the geography, and that's also politically speaking, and the kingdoms. Everything is going to be turned upside down and shaken out. And when the dust settles, all the stuff that came before is still canon. Everything that you saw, you learned about, and all those characters and everything that still impacts how the flow of the story goes. But ultimately, what we're going to be left with once the Chaos War is finally over, if it ever is over, and as the Chaos Legion kind of takes over and sets up their empire, there's a lot of moving pieces here, and the narrative team is strong at work at making sense of it all. And that includes what Chimea and their involvement and what's happening with the game, all of that stuff. You touched upon Ool. Ool is that scary. For those of you who've seen the homepage, there's in the backdrop, there's a volcano, Mount Praetoria, where there's all these tentacles flying all over the place. That's Ool. Or if you read that story that we shared the link earlier for the lore story that was released last week, that touches that.
Yeah, we lost Nate. He'll probably come back and interrupt the next question.
So yeah, Ool is what we have created. I don't know. Yeah, I could share this. We have on the creative side what is known as the Shade of Silas and the Shade of Ool. I don't think you're going to see those characters or animations or all that stuff integrated the game in the form of an airdrop or part of what we're releasing right now. But I think it's with the logic and understanding that someday when these characters are introduced, I think they're too big for ranked play. They're just these enormous entities that have this cosmic power. So to see them being defeated in ranked play every day, hundreds of times every day, just doesn't give them the respect that they deserve. So you could imagine that when we get to boss fights and raids and more epic type gameplay, I wouldn't be surprised if we pull that artwork and those animations off the shelf and say, okay, it's time. So those are considerations. Carnage Titan, that's coming. We got stories planned. That'll be released. That's going to be a really big airdrop. So I'm excited just as much as you are. So don't worry, more to come on that character as well.
B. Ivers asking, isn't the season rewards based on the latest level on the highest or discouraging players from Splinterlands? I have not played the game for more than 24 hours to keep my position. Yeah, potentially, and that's part of what we're looking at with the ranked battle reward system changes. Question, would it be possible to implement an objective system throughout the season where a player selects, given at random, a summoner, and the summoner gets leveled up through the season? This would encourage players to get leveled monsters. The chosen summoner resets at the end of every season. I don't know, put that up on feedback.splinterlands.com. I think it's better if people are just buying the cards, but maybe that works. So let's see if that's something that the players want. Zistrong is asking, is the SBS going to be listed in Binance? When Binance? You guys should be asking Binance, not us. Question, when Ewok Space Penguin Java themed cards partnership? Yeah.
Has Quantum Nachos been talking to my wife? Like, where did that question come from? Because that's very specific. So yeah, so our family does role plays. We play like D&D type stuff like every other week. Half our kids are in California and then we're in Florida, and so we get together on these video chat sessions, and we have a dungeon master kind of does the whole thing. So we're very much geeks at heart, involved in the RPG elements of But anyways, we recently had a campaign where I play this little halfling dude, and he acts very much like Batman. He's known as the Moth. So he has this cloak and he goes out and he does his thieving stuff. But whenever he goes full blown super mode, he puts this little swirling thing on his face and he says, "I'm the Moth." And he goes and does what he does. Well, recently we transferred over to a Star Wars RPG setting. And of course, I just stuck with the short guy thing. I was a Jawa, but I'm a Jawa Mandalorian. So I got this big old helmet on my head. I'm this little squeaky guy who no one understands because you need a translator to understand what the heck I'm saying. So so she knows that I'm obsessed with Jawas right now. So I'm assuming Quantum Nachos has gotten the inside scoop on that. I think that would be cool to introduce some little Jawa-like creatures in the game. That would be funny. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. As far as space penguins go, that's weird, but sounds cool.
The quest potion has been abandoned a long time. Is there any mechanism to use it as a reward? No, I don't see quest potions coming back anytime soon. Your daddy is asking regarding land, what sort of rarity guarantees are region track holders expected to see? We haven't put any in. I don't know that there's any plans to put those in. So I think it's going to be luck of the draw. Only a couple more questions here. Jim Marty's saying, at this point of Waka, I don't think the best way to attract customers from Wax and Waka community. It's around 2,000 price point, but it would have been better if there's a single card to allow more from Wax and Waka community a chance to buy in. Yeah, that's possible. We'll see how it actually goes. Dishonesty is asking, can we get any other use case for the NFT sold on Splinter Talk? Yeah, everybody wants those things to have some kind of utility. It's going to be a while, if ever. I mean, I wouldn't count on that. I would count on them just being collectibles and cool and lore and like bits of story that this company sells. I wouldn't count on those things having utility. If they ever get utility, it'll be amazing and wonderful. But please don't purchase them with any thought that they'll have it. But you guys should be checking out splintertalk.io because there's cool bits of lore and cool bits of our characters, and it's like stuff we can't put in the game but that we want out in the world. This is a way for us to go do that, so check those out. And I think that's the end of questions that we're going to do. So we're ending 1 minute over, so I don't feel that bad. Thank you to Ron for helping to go put the stream together. Thank you for WeirdBeard and Chatter and Nate for joining me on the stream. It takes a lot of time, and not every single part of this is fun, just being on the call the whole time, but you guys are great sports, and thanks for doing it. For the community, we love you guys. Thanks for making this possible. Thank you for helping us build this game. We love trying to get your feedback into this. We love trying to build around what you guys are doing. And ultimately, I'm excited for the future of this game, the future of this product, and where we're going as a team. So I'd just like to just thank the players, thank the community, thank the team, and hopefully by participating with us, you guys are all experiencing peace, prosperity, and freedom, and learning about crypto and working in this ecosystem and making new friends and being entertained. And if all that sounds good, then keep hanging out with us, keep playing this game, and thanks for being part of this. Really appreciate it. Thanks, guys.